Hi everyone, it's Dr. Claire here. I'm a portfolio career GP and burnout survivor. Today I'm going to be talking about the fact that it's now April, lucky us, and it is Stress Awareness Month. I'm going to start with a rant because I do not feel that it is helpful to have a Stress Awareness Month at the moment for NHS staff, and I'm going to talk about why now. Okay, so the first thing is, what does raising awareness mean? Raising awareness means absolutely nothing. It is meaningless because we are all very much aware of what stress we are currently under and what the stress is doing to us, our physical health and our mental health in the NHS. Just over a year ago, we went into our first national lockdown when the first wave of COVID hit, and overnight we had to change our working practices completely. So for instance, for me in primary care, the way that we used to work was we would have pre-booked clinics if you were doing kind of a regular day with your patients booked back to back, morning surgery and afternoon surgery. And then if you were duty, you would just kind of mop up all the urgent and on the day stuff. Then when COVID hit, we had to change our working practices overnight. So we went from having pre-booked patients to doing pretty much everything on the day. And we had to significantly reduce the amount of people that were coming into the surgery and seeing them face to face because it just wasn't safe to do it. And so what we now have to do is manage patients by the phone and by video consultation. And then if appropriate, we will bring them into the surgery to see them face to face. Now in primary care, this has had some really significant impacts. Firstly, for myself, I get a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure out of seeing patients face to face. I like building relationships and I like going on a health journey with them. That relationship has been completely destroyed by COVID. Patients don't get continuity of care. Patients find it difficult not seeing a doctor face to face. I think most people like to see people face to face. Obviously, there are some things that can be managed over the phone. You don't necessarily need to see someone face to face, but for some people it is really helpful. And so it feels like a lot of the joy has been taken out of the work. The other thing is that telephone consultations and video consultations, they take longer than seeing someone face to face because you have to ask so many more questions and get the patient to do things that you would normally do to them yourself. So for instance, you could be taking someone's blood pressure and checking their heart rate at the same time. For instance, if you're going to get the patient to do that, they might have to go off to another room, check their blood pressure, then they might have to try and find their pulse and no one can find it. And it's just really hard. And it means that actually you spend longer talking to that patient than you do if you're just seeing them face to face. So that's one of the things that has happened in primary care. In secondary care, a lot of clinics were cancelled, a lot of routine work was stopped. And so now we have a load of patients who fit the criteria, need to see secondary care, but their appointments have been delayed. And that means that we're then having to manage those patients in the community. And that's tough because that's not our skill set. That's why they're referred to secondary care. But also in secondary care, you guys have had to deal with being on the front line of the COVID epidemic. So for the, some of you will have been redeployed to, COVID wards or to ITU. That's really stressful. Anyone that is working in A&E, MAU, ITU will have been subject to quite a significant amount of psychological trauma and distress. And for patients as well, not having their families there, that is really shocking to witness, in addition to the volume of patients that you will have been seeing over the past sort of few months. So we know that it has been very stressful. Do we need to be more aware of this? No, we don't. Let's talk about the NHS Staff Survey, which was recently published. So this staff survey surveyed nearly 600,000 NHS staff. That's nearly half of the workforce. And out of the people that responded, 44% of them said that they had felt unwell because of stress at work. That is a huge number of people that are feeling unwell. Not unsurprisingly, if you work on a COVID ward, this figure rises to 50%. A third of staff said that they felt that their trust had supported their mental health or mental well-being, which has been reported as a positive finding in the BMJ. I have it here. This is where it's reported. But personally, I don't think that is positive. That means that 2/3 of people don't feel supported in their workplace. And I actually think, that's the overwhelming majority. That doesn't feel like that's a positive finding, quite frankly. 34% of staff are considering leaving their jobs and 18% are considering leaving the NHS entirely. What the NHS Staff Survey shows is that stress is a huge issue at the moment within the NHS. I don't think that we need to be aware about it. What we need to be doing is taking action.